Well, welcome everyone. This is Terry Palma along with Bev Thompson, and we're ready to start another session of Conscious Gatherers. Today is, I believe, December 1st, right, Bev?
It is.
There we go. So,
welcome everybody to our 30th episode.
Wow, 3, 3-0. Interesting. So why don't you start us off and let's see what we have today or tonight.
All right. Well, I will do that, and I think this will bring up a good conversation between you and I. And Royce may join us. We're not sure yet. So she may join us, and we'll let you know when that happens. All right. Well, I wanted to start off with what we ended up with 2 weeks ago in our last episode called Be Yourself in 2021 Outlook. And in that episode, Terry explained a formula for creation and how you can change circumstances, and I thought it was excellent. So, of course, I like to support what we're doing, but I did think it was really, really excellent. But also in the last episode, episode 29, I had mentioned the 2021 Outlook. And it just touched upon what we can see. And if you thought 2020 was interesting, I think 2021 is going to be even more interesting. So the last episode, we talked about our governmental systems as well as our financial systems will continue to make huge changes. And so what's now in place will not be in place in a few more months, and that it's going to look vastly different. And so I've been thinking about this for the last 2 weeks, and so I was asking, can we get any little more information? And it's and I'm going to share some of that, yet it's still to be determined, or a lot of this information cannot be told yet. And I think that's a big part of it. But we are waking up to who we really, truly are. That's why Terry and I are doing this. And so that's all part of the processes that we're going through. And we're getting a little more clarity on that. So some of the words I got, first word I got today in meditation was the word trust. So trust what's going on. It's all part of the divine plan. So just remember that, even though we're all questioning, like, what the heck is going on, because there's all kinds of information coming from all angles. Some news outlets say it's not true, others saying yes it is, and blah blah blah. So there's a lot of blah 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 out there. And then the other thing is the date of our solstice, which is 12/21/20, and some of the other channels have talked about that date as being very significant. So keep that in mind, because we're coming on that in now less than 3 weeks. So not that we're attached to any date, but know the changes that are going on in this earth and within ourselves. All right. I'm going to share a little bit more about what I received today. What you have before you is significant. Remember the good old days? Well, this is the good old days, returning to your consciousness. It's the outer world coming to rest. What do we mean? You will see it for what it is. I've been there, done that. We said that numerous times. Anyway, to note the challenges we put out before ourselves. All others will be doing the same. All people will remain. Some of the people will remain in the chaotic node. Others will move out. All old programs will unravel. That's what is going on, and we've talked about that. The word programs comes up constantly. We're going to find out how many programs that we have lived under. Anyway, all the old programs will unravel. It has begun, has it not? There will be a lot of, or more of, aha moments. Yes, some anger. Help those ones, and that's all of you listening, without getting wrapped up in the turmoil. So be aware of that. Beyond all the turmoil is the new earth. We have spoken before. You are the magnificence of the magnificence. And as I was writing that down today, I thought of the word magnify. Magnificence, magnificence. So that's enhance. So we're magnifying within ourselves as well as our energies throughout the globe and beyond. Okay, those of you in the United States will be surprised about what is about ready to unfold. All ones will be affected. I'm talking around the world. Remain centered as many officials step forward, officials in quotation marks, step forward to tell their tales. The tails do not wag the dog. A new state of being is unfolding. See the beauty. This is for all, and by all ones on earth at this time. Time is unfolding or merging. Many of you will be dancing in the streets. Indeed, joyous times ahead. You will see it and feel it. That word feel. I think Terry talked about that a couple of weeks ago. We've talked about that in many of our episodes. Anyway, be not dismayed. Watch the dance and observe yourselves as you do this. This is monumental to most beings on earth. Indeed, the light is breaking forth as the dark ones are being removed. Then it went on to beginning of 2021, January, so we're only talking a little over a month away. So it's going to be many contradictions. Then the light will break open. Dark ones will scatter. Some will stick around, while others will leave. And speaking to all of us, your work is not done yet, dear ones. Hold the light. It's very important. More interactions with other types of beings, so much support at this time. Yes, much more disclosure in 2021 to wake up all people. So there's going to be a lot of what we term ETs or whatever. Again, we talked about this before. Some are inner earth and some are from out in the so-called ethers. All right, the other thing was the word money changers came up. Those who controlled the money or financial systems are coming forth to tell what has been going on and why it happened. A new history. So that's it. So looks like a lot's going to be happening, which is happening now, and we're going to start seeing many more changes this coming year. And I think it's going to spread out through quite a few years for everything to be put into probably a little more cohesive manner. But hang in there. Again, our work's not done. Hold the light. Very important. So, Terry, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, that's very interesting. I was kind of struck in the point of programming, and you were talking more like a collective program, which we all are involved in.
Yes.
And then we have our own individual programming, which is we put on ourselves. But the universal programming, or the one that we all are a part of, can override individual programs, but they also could be halted depending on how strong your individual program is, how it's anchored. So the more that you become flexible and kind of meditate, obviously, to find out what is going on inside, it's easier for you to release those programs and allow our universal program to override it and take, like riding a wave. So you're on your surfboard, and you can paddle around all you want, and get somewhere and stuff. But if you catch a wave, that wave can carry you a lot faster and a lot further than you could on your own efforts. Kind of an analogy I'll use there. So we are about to catch there's a tremendous wave coming that we are all able to ride. Whether we catch it or not is our individual choice, and how we are we ready to catch that wave. No one will be denied as long as they're ready and want to. So it's not that you'll be left behind. You'll make the choices, and they'll be based on you, but all are invited and all can catch this wave. That's kind of how I envisioned what you were saying, Bev.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And you use the word allow again, and we've used that so many times, that allow instead of trying to fight it. And you're saying, hey, go with the wave, go with that universal wave, be flexible. And then you start seeing all the programs, the collective programming. And I feel we've all done this. We talked about the great experiment. What is that? The duality programs that we all put into place to understand what it means to be a creator. So to me, that's where it comes down to. And now we're saying, okay, we're done with that. Let's go on.
Right. That allows a big thing, because allowing means to kind of not resist and to give in and to lose control. And that's not our nature. We we didn't choose to come down here without having a strong desire to fulfill something ourselves, what's in us. And that's part of our lessons, us that chose to be here at this time, is to give up on having control and to surrender and allow. And when you do that, the creative force, our creator within us, we all bond together. And that's how you can catch the wave, because you'll be able to feel it, see it way off, and not miss it at all. It's by trying to keep control and not allowing. That's where you might miss the wave.
Mm-hmm. Well, we think we control.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah. You find out when you allow this, that's more control, because it's allowing yourself to go to be who you are. What were those words I got? I had to go back and look. Okay. The good old days. And so I was thinking that even meant before we got into the deep duality. But the good old days can also mean, we thought they were good because we were experiencing the duality, just to see what it would be like to experience it. And again, to understand ourselves more deeply. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. And this whole thing brings back up the 3 injunctions that I learned a long time ago, that when you get in a circumstance where you feel that things are out of control, or you need to control something, or you're judging, the 3 injunctions that I would share are: make no judgments, make no comparisons, and delete your need to understand. And that kind of covers everything that you've talked about here. The allowance, the being able to catch the wave. It's hard. Those 3 things are very easily done, but they're not difficult to do, but they're not easy to follow, because every day, I guarantee, I make judgments. And if I'm aware and catch myself, I change that. I go back to, I just made a judgment. I shouldn't be doing that, because I don't know the circumstances. I don't know why that individual is here, what their job is, and who am I to judge what their lessons are and what they're learning by what they're doing. And that's why you can't compare one other person to another, besides judging, because they're the same circumstance. You have no idea what their mission is, what their choices are. Now, you could tune into it. If you do not judge, do not compare, and delete, you need to understand, you'll be swept up into the universal I of I am, and you'll know. But most of the cases we're not, and so we're judging, we're comparing, and we always want to know because we're an intelligent being, and we strive heavily on our consciousness and logic, which can get in the way quite often.
Yeah, because a lot of this does not seem logical, but from a larger perspective, it is, because we're starting to see, again, all the old programs. I'm talking about what's going on today and some of the craziness that we're seeing, and yeah, we do make judgments. We do it all the time. Well, I should speak for myself, but the big thing is we catch ourselves and saying, okay, this is pretty interesting. What's going to come out of this? And I think it's going to be absolutely grand, whatever comes out of this. So I've been pretty relaxed through this whole thing. Occasionally, if I listen probably to too much news, I find my body kind of clamming up a little bit. I definitely feel it in the body, and I'm like, what am I doing? And so at that point, then you turn off the TV or the news, whatever it is that you're listening to, and walk away. And one of the big things we talked about before again is walking in nature, or just get yourself involved in something else. So if you find yourself tensing up too much, but to watch it and observe.
If you find yourself on the right or left side of the scale, then you are making a judgment, which is fine. You can make any judgments you want. But if you move back to the middle, then that scale balances, and you're able to see a total picture of what's really going on, not this side against this side, this thought against that thought. Those are just the dichotomies and the opposites that play out in this physical world we're in. But if you really want to know what's going on, get to the center so you can see 360 degrees and just observe and feel what you said earlier, and you'll be surprised of what comes to you. And you don't get involved in the scale going right or left, who's right or who's wrong, because you see it for what it really is. It's a game. And it's a game to see who they can draw in, and I mean by who, because both sides are playing. Okay, they're both sides, and you have people on both sides that are manipulating it, not manipulating necessarily poorly or in the bad, but to see how many people are balanced and how many aren't. How many can we pull to our side? How many can they pull to their side? And I'm not just talking about politics. I'm talking about, sports and all that. Just get in the middle, observe, and you'll be surprised of how you see the whole picture of what that circumstance is. And you'll go, oh, my God, it's like a light bulb going on. Boy, I was caught in that. I was on the right. Oh, no, I was on the left for a while,
That's what they were calling earlier, what I got received today is these aha moments. And so because you're seeing, as you said, it's basically a 360 view, right? That's a way to put it. Yeah, makes sense, doesn't it?
Yep, absolutely. And actually, it's more dimensional than 360 because not only you'll be able to see 360 around, but go the other way, you see 360 up and down. If that makes sense. It's multi-dimensional. You're in the middle of a sphere, and you see everything in both directions, up and down and sideways and around, and it's pretty cool.
Well, talking about that is 2 weeks ago we talked about seeing multidimensionally and understanding why you have an issue in this life. And I brought up a example of being claustrophobic, and I kind of remember what you were talking about, something similar, to be able to see yourself more wholly. Go ahead.
No. I remember that episode. And I still have bouts with claustrophobic and things that come up, and they're very real, and I know they appear to be very real, and I have to deal with them in the moment. But I know it's a process of my mind bringing up something. My subconscious is bringing up something that was uncomfortable, and I just have to know that that's there and that it's not here now, and it doesn't need to affect me, and move on. Is it easy to do that? Sometimes, and sometimes not.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time I was sitting in the back seat of my wife's car. My daughter and my wife was driving. My daughter was in the passenger seat. We hadn't been 2 blocks, and we're headed to Atlanta, I believe. 2 blocks from the house, and I told my wife, "Pull over. I can't sit in the back." I felt smothered. And I just could, and I didn't want to deal with it. And I asked her to pull over, move to change seats with my daughter. I was fine the rest of the way. Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
That was years and years ago, but it was real. It was a real thought, and there was no rational reason to have that feeling, other than I was experiencing a time that I was claustrophobic, or I was being surrounded and couldn't move, or I didn't see it. I didn't go into it because I thought it and just changed the circumstance. But had I probably could have worked through whatever that was by going with it. But I don't know what the experience would have been for my poor wife and daughter in the front seat. So.
Well, sometimes there's a time and place, but when you have to make a determination at that time, you take action.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that's happening now. Do we take action because there's so many reactions to what is being said? And so it's like, okay, let's sit on this for a moment before you act, instead of react. And that there's a difference between the two.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no action is action.
Yeah, it is. It is. So just know that things are going on. I'm looking at a writing called The Storm, and it's funny how I turn to things that are written, and this is back in 2011, and a storm is brewing all around you. It's not the type of storm that destroys your land and your physical body. And so it is a storm of such magnitude that your whole body will tingle with the incoming vibrations of the heart of God. So it's interesting, these huge evolutionary changes, such as this rapture. And what is rapture? That doesn't mean that you're going to float up into the sky. It's change, correct? So This is now taking place. And what do many of us dream about is peace, right? That's where we're going, understanding ourselves. And in doing so and being centered, it's a much more peaceful place. So I think that's the other thing that we're talking about. So it's another word that's been used so many times. But to really understand peace is to really think from the heart of hearts. And we've talked about praying to God. Here we're at the Christmas time, and God always answers. Yeah, it's you who is God, and you always answer yourself. However, listen to this God within you, and you'll always be steered in the right direction. Be it get out of the car and shake off the last two blocks of coming home from feeling claustrophobic in the back seat, but whatever it may be. But just understand there's no wrong turns, and so we're developing this communication that's going to propel us as humans to a level of utmost peace and prosperity. Have you thought about what the word prosperity means to you, Terry?
It's meant different things to me at different times. And most of the times, prosperity has been measured in terms of monetary value, how comfortable the living circumstances are. And that's not necessarily the right or a good way. It just happens to be the most that I remember in dealing with it as prosperity.
Yes.
Now I'm older. I'm comfortable in terms of how the monetary situation is with our family. I'm not striving to get really more. So prosperity is really an individual term. What about you, Bev?
Yeah, I agree. You think of it in a monetary value type thing to prosper, but it's so much deeper than that. And it really means going more into ourselves. And we talked about the merging of ourselves earlier tonight. And so the more that we do this and understanding of ourselves, our greater our potential. And our bodies being rewired. I think we've used that term in other shows. And to understand that we're firing on new circuitry, enabling us to communicate with our other selves much more clearly, and other beings too. So keep that in mind, and that's allowing, as you talked about earlier, and surrendering to that creator within, and it makes, it just ramps up our potential as beings. So to me, it's very, very exciting. So the storms that we're going through right now are really getting us closer to who we really are. And so keep that in mind, and you will feel so much more peaceful as we go through these processes.
Yes, I agree. I believe so. Well, it just so happens we've been talking so much. I didn't know if Royce joined us. In case you have, Royce, please speak up. I'd like to hear from you. And if not, Bev, we probably should close out or ask for questions, which I don't think there's anybody else on. But our next live session will be on December the 15th, Tuesday. And then our final one for the year will be 2 weeks from that, which will be on the 29th. So put those on your calendar. Those are what we know we're doing for the remainder of this year. We might have some very interesting things to talk about on those 2 dates, but we'll always have something to talk about.
We always do. We always do, especially during these storms that we're seeing brewing out there. Yeah, well, thank you all for listening and joining us today. Again, if you have any questions or any comments, or if you have any instances where you're feeling that you're merging more with your so-called higher self. And by the way, on the 21st at the Solstice, that energy is really being amped up. And so many of you will start feeling a little bit different starting now. I think a full moon was last night. I don't know about you. I was up, a couple hours during the night. So these energies are ramping up within me. And so I get up and walk around and do whatever. But many of you may be experiencing the same thing. But some more aha moments, you might want to write them down. And if you want to share them, please do, because with other people doing that, it opens up people, because a lot of people are afraid to speak up. And it's like, get over it, And and I know I had once said, I will be not shut up again. And so that's a past life where I was shut up, or lives, and I'm not doing it anymore. So here we are talking about all of this stuff openly with you all, and we'll continue. So anyway, if anybody has any comments of what they've been experiencing, please let us know. And if you don't want to come out and speak on the show, you can let us know what that is, and we can bring that up. So we just appreciate your input.
Again, you can find our past recordings, and this recording will be up on our YouTube channel, Conscious Gatherers. Just put that in the search bar, and you'll get our display of all episodes that are there. This episode will probably be up definitely by Friday, but hopefully before that. So with that, I wish you all a safe and wonderful shopping season. We will be back together on the 15th, which happens to be that's the 15th of March. I was going to say the Ides of March, but that's wrong.
You're ahead of it.
December 15th strikes something, and I'll remember what it is next time. But all right, thank you very much. Everybody be safe. Bev, see you in a week. And
all right.
Talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Good night.